introduce to jQuery. So jQuery is the simplest way of working with Java. I'm going to create my new project. So with jQuery, you don't even need to create a new project on htdocs because it's not a back-end language. So you can either use your desktop, you can just put it anywhere. But just to keep my project, to keep my work well organized, I'm going to be saving my information just to jQuery. So remember, start counting. When it's just exactly 30 minutes from now, tell me and I'll stop the class. Okay? 30 minutes, exactly 30 minutes from now. So Fatuma, will you stop at what time? At what? At exactly 11:40. We should be done by 11:40. So we should keep time. If I go through exactly 11:40, just let me know and we shall be done. So I'm going to open my htdocs. I just want to keep my things organized. That's why I go back to htdocs. But it's not necessary to keep the information on the server if you're to use jQuery. So I will come and okay, F and H for Smart and Hardy. So I'm going to put here another project. Okay, I'm going to create another another folder, and this folder I'm going to call it jQuery. Okay, so here is where I'm going to put the things of jQuery. Fatmat, I hope you're following. Are you? Fatmat, are you following?
Yes, we had it.
Okay, she's also following.
Yes, so yeah.
Okay, that is good. So you see, I've put here my jQuery folder. So jQuery is just a simpler way of writing Java. So I'm going to create here my new file. It can be HTML file, no problem. So I'm going to create here my new file. I'm going to what?
Okay. If you don't know Java, will you understand?
I'm going to introduce you, no problem. Just watch out. You'll understand. Trust me. So I'm going to put here my index file .html. Can be HTML, no problem. Okay. So it's just a simpler way of writing Java. So it means that you're going to just learn JavaScript, not Java. Sorry, JavaScript. Okay. So I'm going to open a new instance here, and I'm going to get this folder of jQuery and put it here. Okay, so this is the file that I just created. Okay, so I'm going to put here my HTML tab, and then I can put here maybe learn jQuery. Okay, so I can put here, for example, my H1 and say introduction. Husnat, I hope you're following. Introduction to. Are you following?
Yeah.
Are you seated on your chair, on your table? You're not in the bed, you know. I hope you're seated in the right place, right?
Yeah. I'm not sleeping.
Yeah. Good. If you're sitting in the right place, that's good. You may not be sleeping, but you might be in the bed, and I don't allow that. Okay, so this is just my simple HTML. I allow only people to do what? To sit on their on their tables while working. Introduction to what? To jQuery. So JavaScript, I explained, like I said, JavaScript is come on, I first get done with these things. So you can be doing something. So JavaScript is the language that will make our pages alive. For example, if I want to add two numbers, one number plus two numbers, I don't need to again first go to where? To the, HTML cannot add two numbers. So I don't need to go again to PHP and add those numbers and again bring the what? The solutions on the front end. I can as well do that with the what? With the JavaScript. So JavaScript is installed inside our browser and it can help us to make our pages live. Okay, so JavaScript is a little bit complicated, so we got a way that we can write JavaScript in a simpler way, and that way was jQuery. So jQuery, it simplifies JavaScript. The other libraries that makes JavaScript to be written in a simpler way, but the eldest, the one that started that, is jQuery. There are others that have come up, AngularJS and the rest, but they are a bit complicated. But the simplest one and the one that has been there for so long is what? Is jQuery. So to write JavaScript, you create a what? A tag of script. Okay, so you create a tag of script. I can delete these others. So between here you can write your what? The JavaScript. So I'm going to show you just a simple JavaScript thing, like I'm going just to alert something. I'm going to alert just to create a pop-up box. When the page will load, I'll create a what? A pop-up box. So to create that, I just simply put alert like this, alert, and I open the what? The tag and say welcome. Welcome. But you see where I write this one? I write it inside these tags of what? Of script. Okay, so I save, I come and refresh. You see this pop-up has come, welcome. Otherwise, if I remove this script, I refresh. Did I remove? I not save. Okay, let me remove this. Come and refresh. You see, it did not do anything. But if you close something inside the script, you can be able to do what? You can be able to write some what? Some JavaScript inside there. Then another thing in JavaScript, you don't need even to put a what? A semicolon. It's not necessary. Sometimes it's not necessary. Okay, so without wasting time, instead of learning the core JavaScript, I'm going to introduce to you another library, or a library that will make us learn the exact JavaScript but in a simpler way. And the library that does that is what? Is jQuery. So jQuery is a what? Is a library, just like the way I told you. So it means that if you want to implement this jQuery, we have to first download it. So I'm going to download this jQuery by simply going to Google and search jQuery. I write jQuery download. Okay, here it is. So I click on download jQuery. It is just like Bootstrap, okay? Just like the way we did with Bootstrap to simplify our CSS. Likewise here, jQuery will simplify what? Our JavaScript in many ways. Okay, so I'm going to, there are two jQueries. There's one for production and one for what? For development. So this for development is here. You can understand what is going on. In case you understand JavaScript, you can learn and understand. So the one for production, it is compressed. You can hardly understand what is going on there. Okay, so that is our what? Our jQuery. So I want to save this file. Okay, I hope you members are following. I want to save this file. So to save this file, I can just press Ctrl S, or I can as well come and create here my what? My JavaScript file. So I can come here and create a new file, Ctrl N, and I save it as, for example, jQuery.js. So every JavaScript file must have an extension of what? Of JS. Okay, so after doing that, then I'll have this file of JavaScript. So I'm going to copy this code. Instead of just saving it as whatever, I'm just going to copy it all and I come and paste it here, and then I save. If I want to see it properly, I can here come here and say word wrap. Then this is what? This is jQuery. This one is compressed, so you may not understand what thing is going on, and this is not our deal for us to understand what is going on. The main point is that we should just know how to do what? How to download it, and I've shown you how to. Osnata, do you understand that?
No?
Did you understand? I just create a
Yeah.
file, I copy the other thing, I paste them here. Okay?
Yeah.
Very good. Then I save. So what else? I come back to a HTML file. So to import, just like the way we did with our Bootstrap. Now I want to import the what? The jQuery. So to import jQuery, we simply we normally put importation of JavaScript in the bottom of our file, or in the bottom of a page, because we want first execute the page, then this JavaScript can come later, but it can be downloaded later. But if we put in the top, then it's not a good practice, because our page may become slow, because you'll have to first download the JavaScript, then download the page. But you better first display the page content and then download the JavaScript later. That's why you always put it in the bottom. JavaScript, you just write script, press tab key. So you see, you just write script. I'm going to delete what is not necessary. This asyncs, it's not necessary also. With the type here, stroke text JavaScript. Okay, so what next? You put here the name of the file that you want to import. What do you want to import? You want to import the jQuery, and you see it is in the same one, in the same location. So I'll just put jQuery dot what? Dot JS. Are we together? Members, are we together?
Yeah.
Very good. So after I do that, I save. Now let me come to my file. I refresh. Now let me check the source code by just going to Ctrl U. You see, this is the file that I imported. So to make sure that your file is working, just click there, and it should show you this. Then you will know that you have successfully imported jQuery. Okay, so let us start working with jQuery. So to begin, we shall begin with the first function, which is the jQuery ready state. The ready state, or the document ready state, it is a state that you wait for. It is the state that is executed when the document has fully downloaded. It is not good practice to first, JavaScript will be executed immediately when the page is downloaded, even when the page is loaded. But it is good practice to first wait all the IDs, all the information to first load, and after the first load, then you do what? You start executing your JavaScript, because your JavaScript will depend on the information inside the page. So it will make no point, like before the page finishes to download, or before the page finishes to load, then you start executing your JavaScript. Now JavaScript, for example, if I start executing my JavaScript before the page finishes to download, what will happen? The JavaScript may look for ID that I define in the page. Now because the page has not finished to download, it will not find that ID, and then it will cause an error and say, hey, we did not find this ID. Yet the reality is the ID is there, but it has not finished to what? It has not come. So we have to first, the best practice is you have to first wait the page to finish to download, and first after finishing to download, then you start executing your JavaScript. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you how we can wait for the page to download, and we're going to see these two instances, when the page has downloaded and when it has not fully downloaded, and when the JavaScript really starts executing, and when and when we can wait until the page downloads and then start executing. So to do that, just like the way I told you, so after including the jQuery, the next thing I'll now have to open the scripts, or the script tags, where I'm going to write my JavaScript. So I'll just write script and then delete all these. Okay, then inside here you'll have to write you have to write the script. So you have to import the packages. If you want to work with jQuery faster, you have to import the packages. You should note this down. If you want to work with jQuery faster, you have to import the packages of jQuery. To import the packages of jQuery, in Sublime Text, you press Ctrl, Shift, and P. Then you write install, and then you click package control, and then when it finishes to load, it will bring another pop-up, and then in that pop-up, you write jQuery. Hey, it is becoming slow. Why? Okay, it is loading, It is loading. Okay, so it has loaded. Then you write jQuery. Then for me, I've already installed the jQuery snippets and whatever. So you have to install like 3 or 4 packages for what? For jQuery. But for me, I already installed them, so I don't need. So I can even install this one, jQuery what? Snippet pack. So it will do what? It will install. So by installing the jQuery snippets, they will help you to write jQuery in a simpler way or in a faster way. For example, I want to write the ready event. Like I want to wait for the website to finish loading, then I start executing. So what do? I just write the word ready. You see? When I write ready, you see this suggestion come here. jQuery document.ready. Okay? And there's another one here, jQuery ready. So these two, they work the same. So I just press enter, and then you'll see they'll create for me that instance. And here it is where I'm supposed to it is where I'm recommended to execute my JavaScript after listening to the what? To the jQuery to the page to finish to load. So here it's where I'll do what? I'll execute my JavaScript. I showed you that thing of alert. Let me just alert here. Okay, this alert will close that pop-up that I showed you before. So I'm going to alert here and say good morning. Or I can say hello. What's wrong with it? Hello there. Good. Okay, this is just a pop-up. Okay, this is just a pop-up. Hello there. Okay, it's nothing but a what? But a pop-up. Okay, then I put a what? A semicolon. Okay, so this one, when did I put it? I put it, we say that this will start, the code that we write here will execute when the page has fully loaded. Let me put here some lorem so that you can see properly when the page has loaded. So let me come and refresh. You see, the page finishes to load, then the pop-up comes. Can you see? Let me refresh again. The page finishes to load, then the pop-up comes. Now, once that one works, then you know that your jQuery is working. Now, let me put this one outside the ready event. This is a ready event. Let me put it outside, and we see what is meant by the page not finishing to load, and then you start executing JavaScript. So I come, you see, I remove it inside here, I put it outside. I come and refresh. Can you see? Now let me open a new tab that you can see properly. Okay, this is a new tab. I just put there the jQuery link for our project. You see, I press enter. The thing is that I don't know, I should explain it. The thing is that because my website is very fast, but the point is, if you execute, let me even first remove this. Page is too light, that's why you cannot see the difference, and my computer is so fast. But the point is, here, if you put this script outside, it will execute even when the page has not finished to load. Okay? When I was having a slow computer, you could see this as executed, yet the page was still loading. Okay? But here, the computer is so fast, so the page will load and it will also execute, and you will not see the difference. So, the best way is to put your information inside this ready event. I'm going to explain all these symbols. Right now, they may look strange to you, but don't worry. I'll explain all of them to you one by one. I will understand. I hope there's no question for now.
Yes, question.
Huh?
Yes, there is.
Not from you.
But I want to ask.
No. Okay?
Why?
So we are going to follow, we are going to follow W3 school's syllabus.
No, man, I want to ask because I normally see in this Facebook and other websites. I'm seeing.
You came late. You were not here.
No. I was following throughout.
You said that you went.
Man, I didn't say so. I said I'm helping somebody, but it doesn't mean that I will not follow the
Okay, what's
class.
the question?
I'm saying, like, if you see some websites, the moment you open it, you see direct about this COVID-19 protection is popping up.
Yeah.
Does it also have some similarities
Yeah,
with this?
that's the JavaScript. That's the JavaScript that we're going to talk about. That's the JavaScript that we're going to talk about. That's what we start learning today, making the pages alive. So I've opened my W3 schools and just search W3 schools, so jQuery. This is the syllabus that we're going to follow, so you can even learn ahead of me if you're too serious. So I've gave you the introduction, so I'll not do that. I already give you the introduction. You can come and read these things. Getting started, importing and installing jQuery, I've already shown you. Now we begin the syntax of jQuery. So the syntax of jQuery, now we begin the story here. The syntax of jQuery is all about selecting an element, just like the way I told you that. Is a message? Who has left? Someone has left? You're all here? Okay, I hope so. Because I heard something. Can you hear me? Who say? I cannot hear you. Who is that? Oh no, it was me. Getting old now. Okay, so members, we begin. jQuery, basically the main first thing is to select an element. It's to select an element, because jQuery will depend on the elements that are inside the our DOM. This is what we call DOM. What you see here, we call it a DOM, document object model. So it will depend on on the DOM. So to select an element in the DOM, we use a $sign. In JavaScript, we use something like get from where ID is go to this, something like that. But here jQuery simplifies it. In JavaScript, instead of writing this, you could write around 6 lines, around 20 letters. But in jQuery, you just write 1 letter and to replace those 20 letters. So to select an element in jQuery, we use a $sign to select an element, and then we specify. So we can specify what we are selecting. We can select an element itself, or we can select an element by the class. We can select an element by the by the ID.
What's the difference between JavaScript and jQuery?
The difference between JavaScript and jQuery. JavaScript is the programming language itself, okay? And
yes.
Then jQuery is a library of JavaScript that helps you to write JavaScript in a simpler way. Yeah, so if you want to learn JavaScript, you can come and learn it. It is here. So, but it's a little bit complicated and complex. So, but if you want to be good, then you can learn it. But it's just like you remember Bootstrap and CSS?
Yes.
With Bootstrap, you can create buttons simply. You can create some UIs in a simpler way and following the good programming terms. So if you want to do it by yourself, you may leave the Bootstrap and go and do the CSS. It's okay, but it will cost you a lot. So likewise, JavaScript, it's a little bit complex and complicated. So jQuery simplifies it for you. For example, this selecting an element in JavaScript, it can cost you around 20 elements. 20 lines. 20 letters. But in jQuery, it's just 1 letter will select an element. You get it? So without jQuery, without JavaScript, jQuery is not there. But without jQuery, JavaScript will still be there. You get my point? Fatima, you get the point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we proceed. I hope this thing is recording. It is recording. Remaining is 6 minutes. Okay, these 6 minutes I can use them. So I'm going to do what? To show you how to select an element, because I told you that everything will depend on here. So we already know Bootstrap. So if I import Bootstrap, it will not cause any confusion. Okay. So let me put Bootstrap that we can simply identify things. Let me import Bootstrap. I hope no one will be confused for that. So I'll come here and copy here some Bootstrap file. Do I have the Bootstrap file here? I can get it here. Okay, this Bootstrap here. I just want to make it simpler. F and H. So paste it there. So when I talk about Bootstrap, you know what I mean. So let me import here Bootstrap by simply putting the link. Okay, so that I can I can show you things separate simply. So I'm going to put here, for example, and then text white. There, you know what I mean. Okay, class BG danger and text white. You know what I mean there. Okay, maybe I can give it. So we begin by selecting. So selecting is just to connect your elements with what? With your jQuery. So to select an element, you can simply use $sign. You use $sign to select an element. For example, I can say I want to select this element and hide it. Okay, I want to hide this element. This element I want to hide it. Introduction to jQuery. So how do I hide it? By simply selecting it first, then I'll put the jQuery function that will hide it. How do I hide it? I just select it. So to select it, so you have different. You put a $sign. So a $sign will select it. I mean, we'll say that I want to select something, and then you pass here double quotes. So what do you want to select? You want to select this H1. So there are different ways how we can select it, just like the way we could select in CSS. First way, we can select using its name. So all the H1 will be affected. So if one select it using its name, so I'll copy the name. I just put here H1. So it means that all the H1 that we have in place, they're going to do what? To be affected by everything that I'm going to write here. So by doing this, it means that you have selected all the H1s. So I want to hide them. So I just put .hide. So all the H1s that are inside this document are going to be hidden. Okay? So I come and refresh. You see? Do you have the H1? No. But it is there. So that's how we select an element. Okay? So we can still, so that's one way of selecting an element. And let me show you another way how I can make some action that you can see some changes. We have another change called add class. Okay? Add class. So this jQuery function will add a class in a certain element. So for example, I can say bg dark. Okay, so this one will add a class in a certain element that we want. So you see, for example, if I remove this danger, I remove this danger and I remove this H1 and come and refresh. So what shall we see? We shall just have nothing to see because the text is what? Is white. Fatimata, understand here?
Yes.
So Fatimata, what I'm going to do, I am going to put here a black background using JavaScript. Okay? So what I will do first, I'll first select this one and then I add there the class of dark. So how do I select? By putting $sign, then I open the bracket. Then if I want to select by element name, I just put H1. Then all the H1 that you have in place, they will obey this rule. Okay? So I'll put H1 add class. We shall look at these, all of them, add class, remove class, but this one I'm just using it to elaborate. Add class, and then here I pass the class name. For example, I can pass a bootstrap name, a bootstrap class, because we already have bootstrap, bg dark. Then we should, you will see here we don't have a dark, but it means that this JavaScript is going to add a dark background there. So if you refresh, can you see the dark background? So who added this dark background is what? Is jQuery. So that's how we select. So we have different ways how we can select. Here we have selected by the what? By the element name. So I mean that if we have here another h1, for example here another h1, conclusion. You see, this is h1 and this is h1. So it means that, but how many lines did I write? I write just one line. It's just like CSS. So it means that every h1 is going to do what? To be affected. So if I refresh here, you see, this h1 has been affected and this h1 has been what? Has been affected. So just today I'm going to finish by just looking at only selecting. It's not too much. So another way, we can select by class. So for example, I can say I want to select by class. So to select by class, I can just let me put a comment. We comment like C programming. It is just like C programming, JavaScript class. JavaScript and C programming, they are the same almost. They look like, I mean, syntax is the same. So if you know C programming, then you're going to enjoy. So I'm going to my h2. I'm going to change this one to what? h2. h2. I can put here heading to select these ones using their what? Their class. So class, I can say my heading 1, my heading 2, and there I can put here. So these are different what? Different classes. So this one I just elaborate how you can select by what? By name. So if I come and refresh, this will be those headings will be there, but they don't have background because I've not added a background. So I'm going to add them by selecting. So how do you select by class? You just simply put a $sign and then you put double quotes, and then just like CSS. In Fatuma, how do you select a class in CSS? We use a what?
What?
How do you select a class in CSS?
Dot.
Very good. Clap hands for yourself. So I just put a dot. So dot what? Dot my h1. So this is the class, remember. So to look for all elements which have my h2, and then so I say all the elements which have this class, they should be added. For example, a background dot add class of bg primary. So if there's any element which is having my h2, it's going to have the bg primary. For example, let me just span here. Let me span here some tag. You see, span, and then I'm going to give this what, please?
Hash, or how do they say hash?
Hash, not us. Someone's ass. Okay, very good, Musa. So if I have an ID which is let me give it info, success, success, bg success. So let me give an element here, an ID. For example, this one, let me give it ID of. So if you should expect this one will be having the background of success. So is there any question? Any question, members?
No.
No question. Okay, for today we shall stop from there, inshallah, and we shall start from there. So if you want to learn ahead, come and look at W3 schools and then the jQuery here. I have already made the videos of jQuery last year. I'll share the links with you in case you want to watch. You can go and watch and learn ahead, so that when you come back, you already know what you're going to talk about, which will be so beautiful. So that's a simple introduction to jQuery.